Hey everyone, welcome to the Foreclosure Guy Podcast. I'm Bill. If you or someone you know is facing foreclosure or you've gotten yourself into a situation you never thought you'd be in, you're not alone. I help people understand their options, avoid the scammers, and find a path to ultimately keeping their home. Hello everybody, my name is Bill, the Idaho Foreclosure Guy. Our guest today is Celeste. And Celeste has a great story. You're going to hear about how her and her family overcame great odds to keep their home.
The honest situation was you showed up at a very, very sad time in my life. My husband and I were going through recently losing his mother. And with losing his mother, the house came up in that situation. And we were looking at a possible foreclosure.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be scary, right? To
Absolutely. We have two small children. It was my husband's family home. He grew up there, was raised there. And that's where we met, fell in love, got married, the whole 9 yards. So losing the home was extremely scary for us.
So it sounds really sentimental. I mean, your husband's, his mother's house, and then you met there, got married there, and that's where you live. And of course, now there's children involved. So very scary situation. And what I try to do when I meet with people is show them their options. And my goal is never to pressure them into saying, you got to sell. And so can you talk about what the process was like with us and how we came just to do business together?
Basically, my mother-in-law had given the house to my husband, but had a key lock on it. And we weren't able to get any access to be able to pay it. So the house was coming at foreclosure. Okay. You showed up on the spot and you were very transparent, which was amazing. You were kind, courteous. You walked me through the processes of how things work, timelines, everything like that. You offered a couple of options and we kind of went what was best for our family, and you supported the decisions. You always answered any questions no matter what time of day or night it was when I had, just an inquiry, and you were very positive and brought a very big light in a very dark spot.
Okay, Celeste, I've got to know, how in the heck did you get in this situation? Your mother-in-law gifted the house to your husband.
In a quick claim, yep.
And, you had this HELOC, right? For those of you who don't know, HELOC is a home equity line of credit, right? It's typically a high interest rate. So how did you get in this situation?
Because of the way everything was before she passed away, my husband wasn't able to access any of the financial records or anything like that to be able to pay the payments on it. And the bank kind of was withholding information until death certificate came through, which there was a mistake on that, and we had to re-sign that out, which was another 2 months. So it just built up over time to where they weren't willing to give out information for us to pay it in time. And then it got to the point where we just didn't know what to do, and it came up for foreclosure.
I'm curious, can you tell us a little bit about how you and your husband met?
Funny story. We met on a dating app, to be honest with you.
So here's a success story, guys.
We met on a dating app and we instantly clicked. And ever since the first reach out, it's just been him and I against everybody. And we've kept it going. 5 months into the relationship, there was a marriage. And it's been good since, going on 4 years.
So Celeste, I'm sure our audience is curious, right? I'm sure you're hardworking people. A lot of people think, well, this can happen to losers or people who just kind of gave up. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got in this situation?
I worked my whole entire life very hard at nursing, being a student, a mom, raising 2 daughters, and getting in this situation was something that I never would have pictured in my life. My main priority became taking care of my mother-in-law. She needed somebody who could be with her 24/7, and I had to be that person for her.
Oh, I see.
And I did everything I could to take care of her and provide the love that she needed until the very end.
Yeah. So you became her caretaker.
I was her caretaker, yeah.
With taking care of your mother-in-law, obviously, well, if you're doing that full time, then it's going to be kind of hard to go out and earn a living at the same time.
So what had happened was I had to switch everything in my life to be able to be the person that she needed me to be, because she did require 24-hour care and we weren't able to get that for her. She preferred it to be me, which was a blessing in disguise, honestly. My husband and I did everything we could to try and keep everything stable and financially going, and worked where we could, made money when we could, but basically we were living off of my savings when I was taking care of her.
So Celeste, I mean, a lot of people might say, well, she came in, married this guy, mom's on her deathbed, he's about to inherit the house and you're going to get half of that, right?
That's not at all what I wanted for myself. I have never been the type of person that accepts handouts. I was there purely out of love for my husband and commitment to my husband, as well as his mom. His mom became my best friend up until the end. I did everything I could for her. I loved her through every bad moment she had, and it was never about the house for me. I could have gone and gotten my own house at any point. It was about family.
So that's admirable. So you relocated from Canada to here, met your future husband, right? You got married, and it sounds like you gave up your life. I mean, what all did you sacrifice to come down here and be his mother's caretaker? And how did you get by while you were doing that?
I was lucky enough that I had savings from working so hard. Unfortunately, moving to a different country sometimes is not always the best option for somebody. And I did end up having my license taken away from me for nursing because...
Oh, you lost your nursing license.
I did lose my nursing license for not practicing for a while.
Because you were caretaking.
Because I was a caretaker for my mother-in-law. So years of education went down the toilet that I have to start from scratch, but I don't regret it. She was worth it. The family was worth it. And I would do it all over again. Living off of my savings was a little bit harder to have to deal with, watching everything I had worked so hard for just gone with no replenishment. I was always raised that have something to replenish. It's savings. It's not supposed to be an income. So that was hard for me.
So it sounds like you went all in.
I did.
You gave up the home you came from, right? Yep. The town, to move to someplace you'd never been.
Right.
Gave up your career.
I did.
And all the savings you'd put away for a rainy day, well, you ran through that. And so you invested heavily in your new life, your new family.
I actually invested way more than I thought I would. My father had unfortunately passed away about 2 years before this, and I also had his inheritance money. That was a part of my savings.
Wow. So Celeste, now here comes the not so fun part of this discussion.
Okay.
Whenever somebody goes into default, it becomes public record, right? You get overwhelmed with in the mail, phone calls, texts, and of course, people knocking at your door all day and night, and just, they're persistent,
Absolutely.
Right?
They are.
So once this started happening, I'm sure it started to become very real.
Yeah. It was traumatizing, to say the least. You didn't want to answer the door, didn't want to answer the phone, didn't want to have anything to do with anybody, just kind of trying to figure it out on your own and hide from the world at the same time.
Can you tell us about the roller coaster of emotions that's going on? I mean, you've lost your mother-in-law, savings is out, and now the very real threat of losing the home that you sacrificed everything to get into is now a very real thing.
There was a lot that went into the whole process. There was a lot of regrets that were popping up. There was a lot of animosity. There was a lot of anger. There was a lot of, why is this happening now after everything that I've done? How can I fix it? Trying to protect something that was so cherished by my husband and trying to make sure that he was going to be okay in the end. There was a lot of ups and downs, tears, long nights, and just not really wanting to deal with people, but having to find a way to do it. Okay,
so let's talk about how you and I actually met.
Okay.
I know that in your situation, just like anybody else who's in default, right, pre-foreclosure, you've got a gazillion people trying to get a hold of you, call you. They're calling you, texting you, your mother, your brother, your sister, the girl you sat next to in third grade, right? They're trying to get a hold of everybody. Say, hey, where's Celeste? Where's Kevin? So what made you decide to return my call?
I think it was more of your approach than anything. It was just one of those days that I had already been bombarded by companies that wanted the house, by real estate developers that wanted the house, all very, business oriented, not down to earth, very stiff and not approachable kind of people. Okay. The way you did it was completely different. There was a nice note in the door, just, hey, give me a call. I want to see if I can help. Yeah. And I remember going to the door, I saw it, and I was like, you know what? This feels different. There's something about this that feels comfortable. Maybe I'll reach out and see. And I did. Okay.
So it sounds like maybe a safety aspect.
Yeah.
Okay. So Celeste, you had mentioned, hey, the family was living off your savings while you're taking care of his mother. Can you talk about what that would feel like or did feel like for you if you were unable to provide for the family that you had married into?
I did go through those feelings of, letting everybody down. I felt like I was a failure, not only as a wife, but as a mom, and that I was letting my mother-in-law down by her son having to struggle even more with right after losing her. It was devastating and very hard for me to swallow.
Celeste, now that we're kind of on the other side of it, you're no longer in default, which amen to that, right? So what's life like for you now and your family?
It's a lot less stressful. Moving forward, I'm able to now move back into a situation where I can go and get my nursing degree back, and I can start working hard to getting all of my life back on track. And you being there to take over when I needed somebody has really made that possible for me to have a better future and for my family.
So Celeste, when we sat down, right, there's the business, there's how I make money, and then there's how I advise people, right? And my goal is, how do I set you all up for success? One of the things I want to do, or that I like to do with everybody that I meet with, is I kind of pull back the curtain and I show them the things in this industry that are kind of ugly.
Yep.
And there's a lot of investors who will come in, they'll use fear tactics. Well, what if you can't get it reinstated in time? What if you can't get the loan mod approved? Or what if this happens? What if it goes to auction and you walk away with nothing, or you even have to owe the lender money? What then? And I never liked any of those fear tactics. And I did work for a company one time that tried to get us to employ those. So I know what the loopholes are and how people end up losing their house, right? I made it a point, if someone else's name goes on that deed, that's the beginning of the end, right?
That you did explain that.
And when these other companies make some sort of offer to you, it's always their paperwork. And remember, they're pros at doing this. They've got their attorneys have written this up, and you're first timers, right? You're going off of the relationship off trust.
Yeah.
But on their end, this is just business, right? They're here to make a profit. And if you do one misstep along the way at any time, somehow or another, they can sneak that out from under you, right?
Right.
Because you guys made it clear you wanted to stay there.
Right. It's my husband's home.
And other people were willing to help, but only if they could be on title.
Right. So we had a few companies actually come to us and were willing to pay out the entire HELOC on the home and wanted to go on title to be able to have that huge interest rate on us paying it back, had to pay it back in so much time. And if not, then the house has to go, would be put up for sale, and we're still losing half of what the home would have been worth. And it felt very much like a lose-lose situation. And, stuff happens every day in everybody's life. You never know what's going to be thrown at you. So us going into a situation where somebody else has that ability to control what's going to happen in our future was never an option for us.
At some point, after you've met with enough of them, you start getting this feeling in your gut like, man, I can't really trust these guys.
Right. I did get that. I started to notice that a lot of them were very competitive with each other, would ask who I had spoken to, what else had come up, and they were bouncing different numbers, different interest rates. It just felt like a really big game for them, and it was somebody was trying their best to win my husband's house.
There are pressure tactics in this industry that other people use to try to get someone in your position to sell them their home on the cheap. Can you talk about some of the things they try to do or say to get you to make a bad decision?
A lot of them would limit their offers, or they would.
Got to do it today because I'm looking to buy this other house. Oh, yeah, that's an old one.
Absolutely, and it was always, okay, well, we can offer you this today, but we may not be able to offer you this next week. There was never really a time period where they would actually let us sit there and stew in it and look over the agreement and stuff. It was always, you got to get it done right now because the bank's going to come after you. There's only so much time we have to control the situation before the bank steps in. And it was always pressure. We need it. And at that point, it just got to where I didn't know up from down or what company had said what, because there was so many of them.
So I'm hearing two things. I'm hearing fear and urgency,
yes.
Right? They're trying to use fear and urgency to get you to make a bad decision.
Right.
And that would make them a whole lot of money.
Absolutely.
Right. So it didn't feel like they were looking out for your best interests.
No.
Yeah.
They didn't care that we had kids. They didn't care about the sentimental value of the home. They didn't care about anything except for, let's get our name on the deed so we can take your house.
Yeah. Let's do this deal, right?
Yeah.
We got to do a deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm curious, Celeste, what is the most offensive or bold thing one of these guys said to you when they're trying to get your house?
The one thing was when they approached our house and they were talking to me, they came right out and sat there and said, well, this is not your home. This is your husband's home. We want to speak to him. And I kind of stood there and I was kind of like, okay, well, that makes sense because his name is the one that's on the deed formally and everything. But legally, I'm married to him. So it's also my decision.
Yeah.
So that kind of put me back a little bit. And then there was another comment made about how I could let this happen to my family, especially being a mother.
So, man, there's so many things going on there. You know, when I do business with somebody, I do business with people I want to do business with.
Right.
And you don't do that by invalidating people, which is clearly what he tried to do to you, right? He tried to invalidate you, treat you like you're a second-class citizen. Mm-hmm. And so this guy's he's probably single for sure, right? And maybe mama should have taught him better.
Right.
So again, they're trying to create a highly charged emotional state because that's where bad decisions are made.
Yeah, they did. They definitely did. Like, how could you let this happen when you have 2 children? This isn't my fault. Like,
with all that going on, all these people approaching you, reaching out to you, trying to make offers, you said, hey, they're trying to win your husband's home, your home. I got to ask, what made you decide to go with me?
Honestly, I think it was the handwritten note that you left in the door. I was in the home when you knocked on the door. I saw who you were, and I was just like, oh, not another one. He's just going to stick the card in the door and walk away. And then when I went to go to the door, it was a handwritten letter, and it was, I can help you. Let me help you. And I remember kind of standing there for a second, watching you on the road. And then something felt more genuine, not give me your home. It was, I want to help you. And those were the big thing that popped out on that paper is I want to help you.
So Celeste, I'm not sure if I shared this with you about me. I feel like one of the things that make me relatable with people who are in yours and your husband's situation is I once lost everything. I know what that's like. It's an indescribable, just internal pain. It just hurts. And I sat there for a while. I sat in that pain and I just thought, oh man, I screwed up so bad. And what got me out of it was service to others. When I just started putting one foot in front of the other and said, how can I serve others? Great things just happened. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to try to swindle anybody or use pressure tactics. Great things happened. Money happened. And so that's where I got that from. And so when I meet with people, I always lead with, how can I serve? You saw the handwritten note.
Yep.
You talked it over with Kevin. Mm-hmm. And we actually met that day.
Actually, I did not have the opportunity to talk to my husband before I called you back.
Okay.
I took it upon myself to reach out because I knew if I felt comfortable or felt the overwhelming feeling that I had when I saw the "let me help you," that my husband would fall behind and feel safe with my decision. And it was a good decision. You came in that day, you introduced yourself, you were transparent right off the bat, you were respectful. I explained to you that my name was not on the lease or on the deed for the home. Yeah. And you said, that doesn't matter. This is your home too. Let's work together. And it was never an overwhelming feeling of we had to make a choice right that minute to deal with you. You gave us the time. You gave me the time to talk to my husband to be able to get him to be comfortable. You answered all of our questions when we had them. You were open. You were honest. You gave every scenario possible that could happen. You worked with us every step of the way. You sat in on 3-way phone calls when we were trying to get things figured out.
Oh, yeah, with the lender. Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
You were very, very approachable and very respectful. And you took the fact that the house meant a lot to my husband into consideration when nobody else did.
Celeste, I need to compliment you. You came into this scenario and you had this, you're taking care of your husband's mother who eventually passed on. You gave up your career, your life in Alberta. You burned through your savings. And once you realized you were all in default, you said, hey, we need help.
Yep. It's very hard to admit that you need help.
And a lot of people won't do it. I've gotten calls from people the day of the auction or the day before the auction. And sometimes there's nothing we can do because it's just too late.
Yeah.
And I have to tip my hat to you because you said, hey, we're going to swallow our pride. We're going to own what's going on. We're going to just look, there's a certain amount of, you have to just embrace the reality of the situation and own it. And you and your husband did that. You said, we need help. And we put something in place so that you're not in danger anymore.
Right.
Can you tell us the amount of relief? I presume you feel some relief.
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk about that for a minute and what that's like for you and your family?
I know working with you was one of the biggest things that gave us that relief because we knew that you would always be there with any questions that we had, any concerns. You offered help with renovations when we need to get them done.
Oh boy.
You know, have texted and said, like, how are you guys doing? How are the kids? You've kind of become a fixture in my weekly life to where I give you updates, which is awesome. The relief that you gave us was I can now continue my journey with getting my medical license back and becoming the nurse that I want to be without having that stress and fear of my husband being homeless while I'm not around.
Yeah.
And you really kind of put it into perspective for us on how things work, how we need to handle situations, and that you're a fallback to give us that boost if we need it, and that you're not in it just to make a couple bucks off of a little bit of help. You were more of a guiding light than anything.
Right. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You and I did make an agreement. Yeah. I did help you guys. Yeah. And in the end, I will make a few bucks off of it.
Absolutely. And that's the way it should be.
So at the end of the day, one of the things that was important to me whenever I deal with somebody in this situation is I want them to have a say in the matter. Right. If I want them I want to do this in a way that doesn't rob them of their dignity.
Right.
Right. So can you talk about what it was like for you and Kevin to feel like you had autonomy? You had agency in this scenario?
You gave us the ability to say yes and no to what we wanted. It wasn't an automatic, you guys are struggling, I'm going to come in and buy your house from you and give you so much time to find another place or anything like that. You gave us an option to save us and give us our home. And that was just a huge relief. It was a decision that we made not only as a husband and wife, but with you on board.
Thank you.
And you supported that decision, and you were all gung-ho on sticking it to where it needed to be stuck when it came to the issues we were having with not being able to communicate with the bank.
Yeah.
And the support that you showed us was something that we will forever be thankful for.
I'm thankful that you and your family are going to stay in this home, right? There's no pressure. You guys can keep it for as long as you want, right? I know you mentioned the possibility of relocating to Canada, right? Maybe getting that nursing license going again.
Yeah, I do start back in January.
Oh boy. And you had a life there before.
I did.
And any chance Kevin would go back there with you?
Absolutely. There is a very big possibility after he finishes his education down here.
Oh boy. So you might end up going to Canada, the both of you.
More than likely, yes.
Oh boy.
You know, we've got free healthcare.
Free healthcare. There's that. So that, which begs the question, what happens to Kevin and your house if you decide to go back to Canada?
We call Bill.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for that, Celeste. I don't know what to say, but thank you. It's my hope that anybody I deal with, I just want them to be better than when I found them.
Yeah.
And so if you and Kevin, when you guys decide to move to Canada, I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me serve you and your family. For me, it's all about the service and building goodwill. Because I tell people all the time, goodwill is the most valuable currency there is. It's more valuable than money.
Yep.
So with that, Celeste, I thank you very much for being here today.
You're welcome.
And thank you, my audience, for listening. Hey, everyone. That's all for today. Thanks for listening. If you or someone you know is facing foreclosure, don't hesitate to reach out or share this with them. Take action by liking, following, and subscribing. Thank you.